and welcome to a new video. So today I'm going to be showing you some really basic techniques that you're going to need to get started in coloured pencil. Now we're going to be using a traced outline of an old drawing of mine from 2016. If you want to follow along step by step, then you can download this and some other colouring pages direct from my website, totally for free, just for your own practice. I'm going to be including the link in the description box below. Since this is a beginner's tutorial, it wouldn't be fair for me to use my professional grade pencils. So I dug out my old Faber-Castell classic colour set. Don't be fooled by the fancy box. These are the same affordable pencils that you can find in any stationery or art shop. Or of course, you can just use whatever you have at home. Today we'll be focusing on two key textures, fur or hair, and a simple blending technique which we'll use for the leather, brass buckles, ropes and the wooden harness. To keep things simple, we'll be using a limited number of pencils. For the muzzle, you will need a grey, black and dark blue or indigo. For the hair, we will use a light brown, a dark brown and a bit of black. Using the grey pencil, start off with a medium pressure. You can experiment on a piece of scrap paper first to get a feel for the different tones produced by different pressures. Work in small circles, keeping an even pressure. This will prevent streaks forming on the page. Use a heavier pressure in the shadowed areas to produce a darker tone. I then go in with some black to accentuate the shadows, especially around the wrinkles. To add more detail, make dots and light lines to give the illusion of soft wrinkles in the skin. In some shadowed areas, I use my dark blue to add a little extra pop, as plain black can look very flat. Continue in this way until you have the whole muzzle completed. Moving on now to the hair. As you can see, I used my light brown pencil to roughly fill in a small area. This was to map out what direction I want the hair to lie, and also get a base layer of colour on the page. Next, using the same pencil, I start adding the hairs. Make short, quick strokes going in one direction. I know it looks like I'm scribbling here, but I am making individual hairs. Pay close attention to how the fur changes direction so you get a soft, natural look. Now I'm using the dark pencil to add more depth. Keep adding hairs and shadows, but be careful not to overpower the light colour underneath. Remember to add shadows under the noseband and other parts of the bridle. I went ahead and finished the rest of the body off camera. Here I'm going to show you how to make the hair look fluffier. I start off with an undercoat as before, and I'm still making short, fast strokes. But this time I'm curving them up and back a little. This will give the illusion that the hair is standing up. Mix the light and dark browns as before, and don't forget about your shadows. the hair on the inside of the ears is a little bit longer. We're going to use the same technique, but make your lines longer too. I used a yellow-brown on the edges as the hair got lighter. Now that we're finished with the donkey himself, we're going to move on to the harness. Starting with the rope, I'm using a light blue and a dark blue. Use small circles to fill in the colour, and then shade along the lines. If you sharpen your pencil to a fine point, you can add some soft lines to mimic the texture of the rope. Moving on to the leather. This is where it's most important to make your layers and blending as smooth as possible. This leather is soft and clean and shiny, and the best way to get that effect in your drawing is to have a high contrast between the highlight and the shadows. I'll be using my grey, indigo and black pencils. As you can see, I started off in the shadowed areas, layering the indigo and black on top of each other. Then I used my grey into a highlight, and I just put down a medium layer, nice and smooth. Make sure there's no streaks in it because you won't be covering this over. Then I went in with the indigo into the deepest part of the shadow. Working in small circles, work your way towards the highlight while gradually decreasing the pressure. This should give you a nice smooth fade from dark to light. Finally, take the black and lay it down over the blue in exactly the same way. It may take some time to perfect your transitions, but keep practicing and you'll get the hang of it. Using the same blending technique, I finish off the remaining elements of the drawing. For the brass buckles, I use a yellow, an orange, and the dark brown for the deepest shadows. You should leave little streaks and circles of white as the highlight. For the red rope, I used a dark orange on the highlight, a red for my midtone, and purple in the shadows. The wood was more tricky, but I got a nice effect by using my yellow brown as a strong base layer, with red brown and dark brown layered over the top. Use heavy pressure to create the shadows. Sadly, I lost the clip that I filmed to finish out this video, but I'd like to invite you to follow me on my social medias, which are all linked down below. And I hope you found this video interesting or helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!